Hello, welcome to Unbelievable Tales.
She was living in her car with her son. He was a millionaire who had everything except connection. When the boy offered to fix his Wi-Fi, it seemed like nothing. But that moment revealed a mother's secret, a child's resilience, and a man's buried heart. What happened next would change all three of them forever. Before we dive into the story, comment below where you're watching from. Enjoy the story, everyone. Madison didn't remember the last time she slept through the night. Not really. Even when Leo curled up beside her in the back seat, wrapped in their one shared blanket, she could never fully relax. There was always the hum of passing cars, the occasional knock on the window, or the wind slapping at the side of their parked sedan. But tonight, it was quiet. Almost eerily so. The grocery store parking lot had emptied hours ago, save for a few late shift employees whose cars were scattered near the service entrance. Madison had chosen a far corner, partially shadowed by the hedge-lined fence. It wasn't warm, but it was safe enough. She adjusted Leo's little hoodie, tucking the edge under his chin, and kissed the top of his curly hair. "Good night, buddy," she whispered. He was already asleep. The Wi-Fi signal blinked weakly on her cracked phone. No service. No map. No job board. Nothing left to apply for tonight. She tucked it into her bag and leaned her head back against the seat, staring up through the moonlit windshield. She used to have a plan. An apartment. A desk. A nameplate that said accounts assistant. That was before the layoffs. Before the medical bills. Before Leo's dad vanished without a trace and child support became just another thing she chased in her dreams. A soft mechanical hum pulled her from thought. Somewhere nearby, a generator buzzed to life. She peeked over the edge of the car door and spotted a mansion 2 lots down, perched like a forgotten palace at the edge of the corporate plaza. It was old but modernized, with sleek solar panels on its gabled roof and motion lights that blinked on as a car pulled up the long driveway. Leo stirred beside her. She froze, praying he wouldn't wake. But his little hand reached up blindly and tugged at her sleeve. "Mommy, the light," he mumbled, pointing out the window. "I see it, baby." "It's nothing." He blinked at her. "You said light means people. People mean internet." She laughed softly. "Sometimes. I could try," he offered sleepily. "Fix their Wi-Fi?" Madison smiled despite herself. Leo was 6, wildly bright, and oddly obsessed with routers. He had a habit of walking into coffee shops and analyzing the signal strength from every corner. Once, he actually improved the Wi-Fi at a laundromat with nothing but a bent paperclip and 3 words from a YouTube tutorial. She called it his superpower. She ruffled his hair. "We don't knock on strangers' doors, baby." But his eyes were wide now. Awake. Curious. And then, without waiting, he reached for the handle. "Leo," she hissed. Too late. He slid out of the back seat, backpack half-zipped, sneakers mismatched. Madison scrambled after him, panic rising in her throat. But Leo was already walking toward the mansion's glowing entryway, confident like he belonged in this world of shining brick and spotless sidewalks. She caught up just as he stepped onto the porch and rang the bell. Madison grabbed his shoulders. "Leo, Noah." The door opened. They both froze. A tall man stood there, shirt sleeves rolled up, a phone in one hand, expression somewhere between confused and suspicious. His features were sharply cut, High cheekbones, tired eyes, salt and pepper stubble that made him look important even in casual clothes. Yes, he asked, glancing from Madison to Leo. Before she could speak, Leo stepped forward. Hi. I think your Wi-Fi is broken. The man blinked. What? I heard the backup generator, Leo explained seriously like a tiny professional. That usually means your router tripped when the power flickered. I can help. Madison's face flushed crimson. I am so sorry, she rushed. He didn't mean we're leaving. But the man didn't step back. He looked down at Leo, then at Madison, and something flickered across his face, something unreadable. You know routers? He asked Leo. The boy nodded solemnly. The man exhaled and opened the door a little wider. Fine. Come in. Let's see what you've got. Madison blinked. Wait, what? I've had 3 tech guys try and fail today. If your kid's bluffing, I'll know in 5 minutes. Leo beamed. Madison gaped. She had 2 choices, grab her son and bolt or follow him inside before he rewired the Millionaire'S entire network system. She chose the second. The entryway was like something out of a catalog. Wide stone floors, modern lighting, walls lined with shelves that held exactly 1 book and 3 identical sculptures. It was the kind of home designed by someone with more money than time, sleek, cold, perfect. I'm Elias, the man said, walking ahead of them. The system's in the study. Madison hesitated. I'm Madison. And this is Leo. He gave a slight nod but didn't turn around. Leo followed eagerly, backpack bouncing. Madison trailed, her hands clenched. What was she doing? Bringing her child into a stranger's house? But then again, who invited them? The study was warmer. Bookshelves, a huge desk, screens everywhere. A blinking modem sat beneath the cabinet, casting a faint red light. Leo dropped to his knees and pulled out a small flashlight. He doesn't usually, Madison started. But Elias raised a hand. Let him. Leo worked in silence for 3 minutes. Then, you're using dual band, but they're overlapping. And this router's old. Like 2016. Elias raised an eyebrow. That bad, huh? Can I restart it? You may. With a flick, Leo reset the system. A beat later, the light turned green. The laptop on the desk chimed online. Elias looked mildly stunned. Well, okay. Madison cleared her throat. We'll go. Really sorry. Thank you for not calling anyone. He turned to her. Wait. How long have you 2 been sleeping in that car? She stiffened. We were just parked. Right? There was no judgment in his voice. Just something else. Something quieter. Let me pay you, he added. For the fix. We're fine, she said quickly. We don't need a dinner, then he interrupted. I was going to throw out half of it anyway. She opened her mouth, closed it, and Leo whispered, please. So she nodded. Just 1 night. Just a meal. But deep down something told her. This wasn't going to be the last time they knocked on that door. The dining room was too big for 3 people. Madison noticed that first. The table could seat 12, maybe more, and yet only 3 plates were set, 2 on one side, 1 across. Elias hadn't spoken much after Leo fixed the Wi-Fi. He simply walked them to the table, told them to sit, and disappeared into the kitchen like it was a perfectly normal evening. Madison couldn't stop her leg from bouncing under the table. This is weird, right? She whispered to Leo. He shrugged. He had frozen pizza. I saw the box. Still weird. The door swung open and Elias returned with a tray, 3 plates, steam rising from hastily reheated slices, a bowl of grapes, and a pitcher of lemonade. Leo's face lit up like it was Christmas morning. I like him, he said matter-of-factly. You also like raccoons. Your judgment is questionable. But she smiled. They ate in silence at first, save for the quiet clink of Leo's fork and his occasional contented hum. Madison took a small bite, letting the warmth settle in her stomach. She hadn't had anything hot all day. Elias finally broke the silence. So, you live in the car? She stiffened again. Temporarily. Do you have family nearby? No. Friends? She shot him a look. Do you always interrogate your house guests? He didn't flinch. Only the ones who fix my internet without being asked. She exhaled through her nose. Look, this isn't permanent. I'm looking for work. I had an apartment, but things spiraled. I'm not irresponsible. I didn't say you were. But you're thinking it. He leaned back. Actually, I was thinking your son's smarter than most of the adults I know, including my tech guy. Leo beamed. Madison blinked. Elias sipped his drink and said nothing more. After dinner, Leo explored the living room, completely fascinated by the voice-controlled lighting system and the aquarium built into the wall. Elias let him touch the glass. Madison followed, hovering like a shadow. You don't have to hover, Elias said softly. I do when he's in a stranger's house. I get that. She turned to him. Why are you being nice? He looked over at her. Why not? You don't know us. I know what it looks like when someone's out of options. She didn't respond. A long pause stretched between them. Then, softly, Elias added, I grew up with a mom who pretended we weren't poor. Even when the heat was off. Even when dinner was ketchup on toast. She never let anyone see it. Until she couldn't hide it anymore. Madison's throat tightened. What happened to her? She died when I was 17. Cancer. No insurance. No support. I sold everything and didn't look back. She swallowed hard. I'm sorry. He gave a small nod. Leo wandered back over, clutching a pillow shaped like a shark. Mom, can we stay just a little longer? Madison hesitated. Looked at Elias. He nodded once. 1 hour, she said. Then we go. Elias brought out a puzzle. Leo dove like he was solving a world crisis. Madison watched him from the edge of the couch, arms crossed. You can shower here, Elias said suddenly. Before you go. She stiffened. Excuse me. You've got a kid. It's cold out. There's a guest room. I'm not asking for anything. Just offering. She stared at him. This doesn't make sense. He tilted his head. You're not used to people being kind? I'm not used to people offering anything without expecting something. Well, he said quietly, maybe you should be. The guest room smelled like cedar and linen. The shower steamed. The shampoo was the expensive kind, silky, citrus-scented, the type she used to buy before everything fell apart. She stood under the water too long. Let it run down her back. Let herself remember what comfort felt like. And when she stepped out wrapped in a thick towel, she caught her reflection in the fogged-up mirror and didn't recognize herself. When she came back into the room, Leo was already curled up on the bed, fast asleep. He'd changed into the fresh clothes Elias had found in a spare closet, a little big but warm and clean. Madison sat beside him, brushing his curls from his forehead. There was a soft knock. She turned. Elias stood in the doorway holding a folded blanket. "I'll be downstairs. I'll leave the hall light on." She nodded, unsure what to say. Thank you felt too small. But she said it anyway. He didn't smile, just nodded and disappeared. That night, Madison lay in a real bed for the first time in weeks. The sheets smelled like something safe. Leo's soft breathing beside her grounded her like an anchor. And yet she couldn't sleep, because for the first time in a long time, the world didn't feel like it was pressing in. It felt open, possibly even kind, and that terrified her more than anything else. Madison woke to the sound of birds. Real birds. Not the whoosh of early traffic or the clank of distant dumpsters. For a few seconds she forgot where she was. The ceiling above her was high and white. The sheets were tucked. Leo was still asleep, his cheeks flushed, arms sprawled. It took a full minute for the night before to sink back in. The mansion. The man. The pizza. The warmth. She eased out of bed, careful not to wake her son, and padded barefoot toward the hallway. The floor was cool, the light soft. She expected silence, but she heard Elias's voice. Not loud, firm, sharp, measured, coming from behind a half-closed office door. "I told you no. I don't care what the board says. If they want to challenge my vote, let them try. I'm not going to justify philanthropy to people who've never given anything they didn't write off on their taxes." A pause. "No, not now. I've got company." Another pause. Then, "It's not what you think." Madison stood frozen for a second too long. The door opened. Elias stepped into the hall, phone still in hand, shirt wrinkled. Expression hard. He didn't expect her there, that much was clear. For just a moment, he looked like someone else entirely. A man at war with his own empire. "Morning," he said, smoothing his tone. "Sorry," she muttered. "Didn't mean to eavesdrop." He pocketed the phone. "It's fine. Was just business." She nodded, unsure if she should stay or flee. "I'm making coffee," he said. "Come down if you want." She followed. The kitchen was sunlit, stainless steel everywhere, but it somehow felt less intimidating than the rest of the house. Elias moved with precise efficiency, measuring grounds, heating milk like it was a ritual he performed daily, though something told her he never made it for anyone but himself. She sat at the island. He handed her a mug without asking how she took it. "Thanks," she said quietly. Leo patted in a moment later, yawning, his curls sticking up in all directions. Elias crouched. "Sleep okay, genius?" Leo nodded, eyes still half closed. "There's cereal," Elias offered. "Or eggs." "Cereal," Madison answered for him, sensing the moment might collapse if made too formal. They ate in quiet companionship, the kind that grows not from comfort but from not knowing what comes next. After breakfast, Madison helped clean up, but Elias waved her off. "You don't have to." "I want to." She rinsed a bowl. "You live here alone?" He hesitated. "Mostly." "What does that mean?" "It means I've spent the last decade building something most people would kill for. And then one day I looked up and realized I didn't know a single person who'd show up if I needed help moving a couch." She paused. "That's honest." He gave a half smile. I'm better at business than people. You're not bad with kids, she said, glancing at Leo, who was trying to teach the aquarium fish to play hide and seek. I'm learning, Elias said softly. Madison dried her hands and leaned against the counter. We should go, she said. His expression didn't change, but something in his shoulders dropped slightly. Where? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I don't know. There's a shelter downtown, but it's full most nights. Then stay another night, he said. We've already taken too much. You haven't taken anything, he said. You've only given. To your Wi-Fi? To my morning, he corrected. She laughed before she could stop herself. He smiled. Not wide, but real. That afternoon, Elias insisted on driving them to the park. Leo wanted to run. Madison needed to stretch. The air was crisp, leaves crunching underfoot. Other parents glanced at them, Elias in his tailored coat, Madison in borrowed clothes, but no one said anything. She sat on the bench while Leo raced between the trees. Elias stood nearby, watching quietly. He's good, he said. He's everything. You're doing an incredible job, he added. She looked at him, surprised by the sincerity in his tone. No one tells you that when you're living in a car. Well, they should. They were silent for a while. Then Elias asked, What did you do before? I was in finance. Entry level, mostly. Spreadsheets. Vendor accounts. I liked it, actually. What happened? Company merged. I was let go. Then Leo got sick. Then the bills came. And the world just kept going. Elias nodded slowly. I could call someone, he offered. Find you a position. Madison tensed. That's not why I'm here. I know. But if you give me something, it changes the balance. He studied her. You think kindness comes with strings. I think it usually does. I won't insult you by offering charity, he said. But I will offer a chance. On your terms. She looked at him, trying to read the man behind the calm voice. Why are you doing this? She asked. He hesitated. And then quietly, because I think I needed someone to remind me that people like you still exist. The wind picked up. Leo laughed in the distance. The sun hit Elias's face just right, and for a moment Madison forgot where they came from. She only saw where they could be going. But the moment didn't last. Because when they returned to the house that evening, a black car was parked outside the gate. Tinted windows. Government plates. Someone leaning against the hood in a suit. Elias went still. Madison instinctively reached for Leo's hand. The man stepped forward. Mr. Ward, we need to talk. Elias exhaled slowly. Not now. It's important. Elias looked at Madison. Go inside. I'll be right there. But she didn't move. And for the first time, she saw something she hadn't seen before. Not just wealth. Not just quiet sadness. But something deeper. Secrets. Ones that might be too big to ignore. Madison didn't ask questions that night. She didn't ask who the man in the suit was, or why Elias's hands had trembled after they spoke, or why he stayed outside for nearly an hour after they went in. But when he came back, his jaw tight and his expression unreadable, she didn't press him. She simply set a plate on the counter, reheated dinner, and waited. He ate in silence, like a man chewing through more than food. After Leo fell asleep, curled into the couch with a pillow half his size, Madison found Elias alone in the study, staring out the window. He called me Mr. Ward, she said gently, leaning against the doorframe. That's how I know it wasn't just a friend. Elias didn't turn around. He's a government liaison. I fund certain tech initiatives. Infrastructure. Digital security. That sounds intense. It's controlled chaos. She walked in slowly. Is it going to affect us? He turned to her now. Us. Her breath caught. I mean me. And Leo. We've stayed too long already. You've been generous, but I asked you to stay. You didn't know there would be people showing up. They always show up, he said. That's the thing about power. It makes you visible even when you want to disappear. Madison crossed her arms. Do you want to disappear? He hesitated. Not entirely. Just parts of you? He looked at her then, really looked. And something cracked open. I spent 10 years building a life that would never fall apart, he said. But it wasn't a life. It was a fortress. And the day I finished building it, I realized I was the only one inside. Madison swallowed hard. You're not alone now, she said. I don't know how to share space, he admitted. Neither do I, she said softly. But maybe we learn. A silence fell between them, not heavy this time, but delicate. Like glass you're afraid to breathe on. You're strong, Elias said. But you look over your shoulder every time you accept something. Because I'm scared it'll be taken away. I won't take anything from you. Madison looked at him. Not even the illusion of control? He smiled. A real one. That's already gone. She smiled back. The next morning, Leo woke up with a fever. It wasn't high, but it was enough to make him clingy, his cheeks flushed, his energy dimmed. Madison panicked. Old reflex. The hospital bills from last year still haunted her dreams. I'll take him in, she said, reaching for her bag, already calculating what she could sell. Elias stopped her. You don't need to do that. I can't let him get worse. He won't. I'll call my doctor. Madison shook her head. Elias, he makes house calls. And 20 minutes later, a pediatrician stood in the living room, friendly, calm, with warm hands and a kind voice. Leo barely whimpered. The diagnosis was mild, a virus, rest, fluids. Nothing serious. But Madison couldn't stop shaking after the doctor left. Elias found her sitting on the edge of the bed, hands clasped. You okay? She choked out a breath. I didn't have to choose between groceries and a copay today. He sat beside her. Not touching. Just there. You shouldn't have to. But I did. For a long time. He looked at her. You don't now. They didn't say anything for a while. Then she whispered, You terrify me. His brows furrowed. Why? Because you're making me believe again. In things I stopped letting myself hope for. Safety. Peace. A future that doesn't start and end in parking lots. Elias reached for her hand this time. Just gently. You think this is just a moment? I don't know, she said. But if it is, I want to know I felt it. He nodded. It's not just a moment. At least it doesn't have to be. She looked at him. Then what is it? He hesitated. And then he said it. I want you here, not just as guests, not just as visitors I fed and sent on their way. I want you here because you made this house feel like home for the first time in ever. Madison blinked. What are you asking? I'm not asking for anything yet. Just letting you know where I am. Emotionally. Practically. All of it. She exhaled, her grip tightening slightly in his. I'm not ready to stay forever, she said. But I'm not ready to leave either. That's enough, Elias said. For now. And for the next 2 days, they lived like maybe they'd never leave. Leo's fever passed. They cooked together, watched old movies. Madison found herself laughing again, not politely, but with her whole chest. Elias watched her when he thought she wasn't looking. And one night, while Leo slept, they sat on the couch in dim light. Madison turned to Elias. What would you have done if Leo never knocked? I'd be exactly where I was, he said. Alone. Efficient. Empty. She leaned against him. No one's ever looked at my son and seen what you saw, she whispered. Not even me sometimes. He's extraordinary. So are you, she said, voice breaking. But you don't see it either. Elias looked at her, eyes softer now, defenses gone. And then, with no dramatic build-up, he kissed her. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't desperate. It was quiet. Like a man coming home after a long, hard winter. Madison didn't sleep that night. Not because of fear. Not because of noise. But because, for the first time in years, she allowed herself to imagine staying. Not just in a house, but in a life. Elias had kissed her like she was something breakable. Like he didn't want to wake her too fast. Like he needed her to know it was real. She had rested her forehead against his and whispered nothing at all because there were no words for what she was feeling. The next morning, reality returned. It came in the form of a knock. Not at the front door, but at the gate. A car. Flashing cameras. A man with a mic. A woman with a notepad. Voices through the intercom. Mr. Ward, is it true you've taken in a homeless woman and her child? Is she your girlfriend? Is the child yours? Madison froze in the hallway, Leo holding her hand, sensing the tension. Elias turned off the intercom. His jaw locked. How did they find us? Madison asked. Someone at the park. Or the doctor's office. Doesn't matter. What matters is what we do now. Madison's eyes darted toward the door. We should go. Elias looked at her, stunned. What? We can't ruin this for you. You're not. I can't have Leo's face on the news, she said. I can't let them twist our story. We'll leave. Just give us a minute. No. Her breath caught. What? No, he repeated. I won't let you disappear. This is your reputation. And that's your son, he said. Who deserves a safe place? Stability. Who deserves better than hiding again? Her voice dropped. What if this ruins you? Elias stepped closer. Then let it. Let it ruin the version of me that was too afraid to care about anything but his image. Tears stung her eyes. Please, he said, voice quieter now. Don't walk away from this. Leo clutched her hand. Mom? Did we do something wrong? Madison knelt, took his face in her hands. No, sweetheart. You fixed the Wi-Fi and changed someone's life. Elias crouched beside them. You changed mine, he added. Leo tilted his head. Does that mean we can stay? Elias looked at Madison. Her heart raced. Her brain screamed a dozen what-ifs. But her body knew. Her soul knew. Yes, she whispered. We can stay. The press didn't stop overnight. But Elias released a statement short, direct, and final. My personal life is not for public consumption. But if you must report something, let it be this. A 6-year-old boy fixed my Wi-Fi and in doing so reminded me what connection really means. That's the story. It went viral. But not the way scandals usually do. People didn't mock. They cheered. Madison was offered jobs, interviews, podcasts, features. She declined them all except one, a consulting offer from a remote finance firm with flexible hours. I can work from home, she told Elias. Or whatever this place is. He smiled. It's ours if you want it to be. Weeks passed. Then months. Leo started school. Elias bought him a ridiculous backpack with LEDs. Madison teased him for spoiling the kid, but secretly she loved it. They cooked together, played together, fought sometimes about how much to clean, how often to grocery shop, whether it was okay for Leo to eat cereal for dinner once in a while. They were messy, but they were real. And one rainy evening, as Leo built a tower out of shoeboxes and toothpicks, Elias handed Madison a small envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it." Inside was a drawing. Crayons. A crooked house. 3 stick figures. One was tall. One had curly hair. One wore a cape. Leo had labeled them Mom, Elias, me, and above it, our home. She blinked fast. "He wrote your name." Elias shrugged. "He says Dad sounds too short." Madison laughed, then cried, then kissed him. The next morning she woke up early, made pancakes, packed Leo's lunch, and when Elias came downstairs, hair still damp from the shower, she handed him a small key. "What's this?" he asked. "It's to the car," she said. "I thought maybe we could finally empty it." He stared at her. "You sure?" She nodded. "We don't live there anymore." He took the key, and she took his hand. They stepped outside together into the soft morning light. Not running, not hiding, just walking forward toward whatever came next. As a family.
Bye, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.